Hi everyone. In this video, I'll be going over the Adlerian approach to therapy. So Adlerian Therapy is a short-term, goal-oriented, and growth-focused therapy. It considers both internal influences on people and external or outer influences upon people. Internally, inferiority feelings are seen as a normal condition of all people and are what motivates striving toward goals. Rather than being a weakness, these feelings motivate us to strive for mastery, superiority, and completion because we want to overcome our sense of inferiority. Note that the superiority being described here is not superiority over other people, but rather moving oneself from a perceived lower position to a perceived better position in relation to oneself. For example, changing a weakness into a strength or excelling in one area to compensate for another. Around age 6, our fictional vision of ourselves as perfect or complete begins to form into a life goal. So we determine what that completion is and what that goal is going to be. It unifies the personality and becomes the source of human motivation in attempts to achieve that life goal. Every striving and effort to overcome inferiority is now in line with this goal. Externally, this approach emphasizes social spheres and other external influences upon behavior, believing that change occurs through social learning and that we're motivated to have social relatedness or social connectedness. Adler abandoned Freud's basic theories because he believed that Freud was excessively narrow by emphasizing biological and instinctual determination. So rather than view people in a reductionist manner the way that he thought Freud was, Adler viewed people and subsequently their personalities as indivisible and united, not made up of separate parts. The holistic view that he took of a person, the holistic view of a person, stressed that we can't be understood in parts. Instead, all aspects of a human person must be understood in relationship to the socially embedded context of family, culture, school, and work in which they are embedded, because people are part of the system. This approach to therapy focuses on developing individual personality while simultaneously understanding and accepting the interconnectedness of all humans. This involves having a subjective approach to psychology that focuses on the internal determinants of behaviors, things like values, beliefs, attitudes, goals, interests, and the individual perception of reality. And this provides a subjective vantage point from which to understand a person's behavior. Okay? The objective reality is less important because what's really important is how we interpret reality and the meaning that we attach to experiences. So that's the internal determinant. And at the same time, Adler was the first systemic therapist who believed it was essential to understand people within the systems that they live in. This is partly why social influence is emphasized in this approach. Okay, so we're looking at internal and external to understand people. Basic assumptions. First, humans are motivated by social relatedness rather than by sexual urges, and we change through social learning. Second, behavior is purposeful and goal-directed. We have the capacity to interpret, influence, and create events. And we're motivated either by attempts to overcome inferiority or by efforts to create social interaction and connection. We can only think, feel, and act in relation to our life goals. However, this does not ignore the fact that biological and environmental conditions do limit our capacity to choose and create. However, our interpretation of those limitations matters. Okay. Next, we can be fully understood only in light of knowing the purposes and goals toward which we are striving. That's what makes sense of our choices. So the imagined life goal that a person creates guides their behavior and is called the guiding self-ideal or the goal of perfection. And we start to develop this, as I mentioned, at a very young age. If we don't understand what the life goal is for a person, then we can't understand them and their behavior. Consciousness is the focus of therapy. Unlike the psychoanalytic approach that looks at the unconscious, here we're looking at consciousness. Likewise, the past, not super important here. Instead, we're stressing choice and responsibility, meaning in life, striving for success, completion, and perfection. This means that unlike Freud, Adler did not view behavior as determined by heredity and environment, but by one's own goals, while also recognizing the role of perceptions in the past. Understanding the person's subjective reality is crucial to understanding behavior, as is understanding them in the context of their ecology. So some key concepts here. First, lifestyle. Lifestyle is seen as the core beliefs and assumptions that guide people's movement toward life and organize their reality, giving meaning to life events. It can be thought of as patterns, style of life, strategy for living, etc., and includes things like rules of interaction, the way we navigate the social world, problem solving, and so on. Social interest is considered to be the central indicator of mental health, and it involves directing one's striving toward healthy and socially useful ways of life. Having high social interest reduces feelings of inferiority and alienation. Social interest can be manifested through being concerned about others, cooperating with others, contributing to something beyond the self, and engaging in shared activities. A related concept is community feeling, which is the feeling of being connected to all of humanity and to being involved in making the world a better place. It can also be thought of as a sense of belonging. It's manifested in courage, empathy, caring, compassion, engagement, and cooperation. Individuals who lack community feeling, which may be experienced as not feeling accepted by the groups we value, experience anxiety and other mental health problems because of that deep desire to feel connected. That is lacking. Family constellation. Adler considered the family of origin to have a central impact on personality. So exploration of the family constellation includes the client's evaluation of the family atmosphere, birth order, parental relationship, family values, and extended family and culture. It is through the family constellation that people form their view of themselves, others, and life. And this includes things like their values, gender role expectations, and the nature of interpersonal relationships, which understandably are influenced by the family, is what Adler's saying. So questions that are used to explore family constellation are provided in your textbook and includes things like, who was the favorite child in your family? What was your relationship with your father like? What was your relationship with your mother like? And so on. Basic mistakes are considered to be errors in a client's private logic. And the private logic are concepts about the self, others, and life that form the basis of a client's lifestyle. Some basic mistakes are provided here with corresponding examples, and they're fairly self-explanatory. So like an overgeneralization would be something like believing that there's no fairness in the world at all, ever. Okay, so that's where this video is going to stop. We'll pick up the next one by going through the specific therapeutic process according to the Adlerian approach. Thanks for listening. Let me know if you've got any questions.